and hello to anybody watching. This is Eminem in real life, and I'm Meg. So today I just want to kind of get into my personal history and just explain my diagnosis and kind of how I grew up and how I got where I am today. So quick little side story though. The Eminem, for anybody who does not know, is my initials. So that is why it's called Eminem in real life. So continuing on here, I wanted to mention what illnesses I actually have been diagnosed with first. So I have hypermobile type EDS. I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, also known as POTS, Raynaud's syndrome, slipping rib syndrome, arthritis, which just kind of comes along with all of that. I have celiac disease, and I'm also allergic to corn and rice as well. So far that's everything. Hopefully it stays that way, at least for a while. Getting into the backstory now. I was very athletic growing up. I was almost always playing 2 sports at a time. I played soccer for around 15 years, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And I started competitive gymnastics when I was really young, which ended up turning into cheerleading in middle school and high school. So I always kind of got a weird look when I told people I played soccer and was a cheerleader, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. While I was growing up, I experienced, what everybody thought was normal growing pains. You'll hear that a lot, especially with people with EDS. They had not necessarily abnormal, but maybe more severe growing pains growing up, and it's because the EDS was not diagnosed. But anyways, I didn't really start having physical health problems until high school. So around my sophomore year of high school, I was actually at a soccer tournament, playing club soccer at the time, and I'd been having some back pain that just didn't seem normal anymore. Not that back pain should be normal, but I finally decided I needed to tell my parents about it. So tell my parents, and that started several months of trying to figure out what was going on and how we can figure out how to treat the pain. So several months later, several tests later, we finally determined that I have spina bifida in only my L5 vertebrae. So we've never known it. It was just a birth defect, and we've never experienced problems. So until I had the problem, we didn't know about it. So the L5 vertebrae, actually, the pars, which is the bony part that wraps around your spinal cord, the left side was broken and the right side had fractures in it. So I had literally broken my back. So we tried just about everything. I mean, a back brace, physical therapy, injections, you name it, we tried it. I was only 16. So when it came time to make the decision, we decided to go ahead and try surgery. And when I say we, I mean my family and I. We made a decision together based on the fact that I still wanted to play soccer and do other things. I mean, I was only 16, so we figured it was worth the risk. So I had my first back surgery in 2010, and then ended up having those same screws removed 3 years later, after I had started having pain again about a year after my surgery, and went back to the surgeon, and he told me that everything looked fine, nothing was wrong. So I let it go for another 2 years. Come to find out, I finally go and see another doctor. The screws had been coming out by themselves and causing new stress fractures for 2 years. So that, on top of everything else, that I still hadn't been diagnosed with EDS at the time. So we were our heads were spinning. You know, we weren't sure what to do or where to go from there, because EDS is still, it's becoming more well known, but that's also part of why I wanted to do this video, is to make ehlers-danlos and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, I mean, they need to be talked about, because there's many people out there who are just not diagnosed, but they may be experiencing severe symptoms. But it just, all of these invisible illnesses, they need more attention called to them. So anyways, getting back into where we were at. So I had the screws removed in 2013, and even with that done, I was still having the pain. So I was having joint pain all over. I mean, knees, ankles, hips. I still have that to this day. It's been about 10 years, maybe a little more, and I've had chronic pain every day. And knowing I was still in pain, we finally, we just kept doing a lot of our own research, and my mom ended up finding out about ehlers-danlos online. So we looked more and more into it, and it just made sense. Everything was like to a T. So we finally found a doctor, which took a few months to get into, but I was finally officially diagnosed with EDS, POTS, and Raynaud's. And having a diagnosis is a good thing, because it's finally something that says, okay, you're not crazy, you have that diagnosis, like, and you can take it to other doctors and make it obvious, like, you have a very specific illness and you have to be treated for it, and you can't be looked at like you have 3 heads anymore. So since being diagnosed with everything, I've tried pretty much every possible treatment option, which I'll get more into those individually as we discuss different topics every week. So I'll talk about ones that I've tried, ones that have been successful or weren't successful, or were they painful for me, were they beneficial, were they worth it? So yeah, we'll get into that kind of stuff more on a weekly basis. But my most recent diagnosis was slipping rib syndrome, which again, that is very not well known. I had an extremely hard time trying to find a doctor who would actually diagnose and treat me for it. I ended up having to drive 4 hours to go have surgery to fix my issue. It was well worth it, I will say that. But again, it's just one of those things that are not widely known yet, and more attention needs to be called to it. So I think I'm gonna let that be everything for today. That's kind of my backstory, everything that I have, and how I got here. So until I really get into the groove of these videos, these are probably going to be somewhat short for now. So hopefully in the next couple of these, we'll really start getting into a routine, and I'll make these a little bit longer for you guys, and actually provide you with some information and why you're actually coming to the channel. So, but thank you guys for checking out my video, and I hope you keep checking back in every week when I put a new one out. Thank you guys.